Hey everybody, what's happening out there on the big bad world? I hope you're all behaving yourself. I hope you're all staying well and healthy as physically possible can be. Welcome to the podcast. Before we get started on the podcast, I want to get some house cleaning done. I want to tell you about Glack House, or Glack House if you say it in an Irish accent. Glack House is our company. I'm going to promote it. We are a wedding and events company here in Donegal in Ireland. We also have beautiful cabins and Airbnb. We are ready for people to come here the second this is all over. Check it out, glackhouse.com, or our Airbnb, or our Instagram, or our Facebook is all Glack House. GLACKHOUSE. Also, please check out my Patreon page. Patreon is what is funding these podcasts at the minute. Patreon.com/listen to Keith Harkin. If you join my Patreon page, you're helping me and others have lots of content. You're helping me pay to make the content, and you're helping others listen to it. You become part of my community. You become almost like my producers. You become part of me, essentially, when it comes to making all these things. Check it out. If you enjoyed this podcast, please click subscribe at the end. Today on the podcast is my good friend Dooma. He's an absolute legend, businessman. He surfed in the WSL. He manages people in WSL. He's got his fingers in a lot of different pies and an absolute sweetheart. Enjoy the podcast.
Some kind of professional
Oh, it's professional now. Oh,
Yeah.
it's a podcast. It's a podcast now.
Yeah, that's it. This is the room where it all happens. As we
What
call it.
microphone's that you're using?
It's called a Blue Ember. It's basically the cheapest one on the market.
Are you just dangling that off the cord?
Yeah, look at it from above. I actually home-rigged this thing. I didn't have a stand, so we literally nailed. Hang on, let me just flip it around. You're gonna like this because this shows about the extent of my
Ingenuity that you have.
being a man. Yeah, hang on. Let me see if we can. Oh yeah, you see that? You see those nails? 2 nails.
Oh,
in the
look at
roof?
that! Look at the way you done that.
And then the nails are digging into the cord. They're like slicing through. So, but it looks good.
Do
Here's a little
yourself a favor. Hey, what's happening, man?
That's
Hey, brother.
Chad. That's the other silky smooth voice you've heard on the podcast.
How's it going?
What's happening? How you
My
doing?
radio voice.
Yeah.
This is your radio voice.
he sounds better than Lutz.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I got a face for radio. That's what they say.
Do yourself a solid. Go on to like one of those cheapy websites and get it's a table mounted mic stand, because that won't last, bro. It'll just break.
Yeah, so that's what we initially ordered, but then with the COVID thing, they just got like B&H didn't ship or something like that happened. But yeah, we need to get them. I've been lazy.
Yeah, because the insert to the microphone will fall apart. Just so you know.
He's saying that just the hanging and the insert is what will fall apart.
Well, let's just order it today. I'll go fucking
Yeah.
down about. I gotta go to Home Depot anyway,
Yeah.
so I'll just go down and grab it.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We've just been lazy, and then the sound was fucking out, and then we got one of these Focusrite things.
Yeah.
Which tends to work pretty well.
Dude, I know all about it. I ordered as you know, like I am in a studio here right now, and I literally have more gear than mankind even knows. I have 12 years worth of collecting shit in the studio. And I started doing this podcast about 5 weeks ago. And I couldn't run any of my podcasts because I was missing 2 tiny cables, like two, like literally like this. And the camera cable that I ordered, it's a mini HDMI or a micro HDMI in order to get this GoPro working, because the camera that I would check this thing is from like a Windows computer in like 1999.
It's like an old porn cam. Like,
It's the worst, man. That's what I was using to do my podcasts up until this is the first podcast with a camera. And everybody must have been like, I was chatting to some like pretty important people, and they must have been going, "What the fuck is this? What is this dude doing?" I was like,
like an old.
But anyway,
he like a cam boy on that thing. Start
dude,
getting
if it makes money, I'll become a cam boy.
Yeah, you might have to with what's going on.
I basically am a cam boy. I'm doing that's all I have is online shows right now.
Yeah, and it seems like it's going well though, huh?
Yeah, man, they're going great. I'm very lucky and blessed. I realize not only now, but I realize now that how much of a fan base I've built up over the years. You know, I have a really loyal fan base, and I always knew they were loyal, but now I see how loyal they are. I'm very lucky. You know, there's a lot of musicians out there who are they're struggling big time.
Yeah, I think it's like that kind of goes across the board with brands, everything, right? Whether it's athletes, brands, anything, you start really seeing who your loyal fans are and who aren't.
Yeah, I mean, every week I have a couple, like 100, 150. Normally my shows is a couple of hundred people a week, and I have the same at least 150 people every week tuning in. You know, and then the other half, they're like all transient. Yeah, I'll watch one week and that, but I have a solid 150 people that tune in every week, man. And they're so. It's funny, you know. You're like myself, Dooma. You just started surfing because you could just surf. Like you didn't go, I'm going to learn to be a surfer. I'm going to go to school and become a surfer. I play music because I'm like, fuck, it's easy. I just do it. And that's, you know, and then when you see people coming to see you play music at a show, you're like, people are actually coming to see me play. And you kind of think to yourself, why? Why are you coming to see me? I mean, I'm not. But then you realize, you know, that's their thing. You know, that is their thing. You and I spend stupid money on a surfboard, and people probably think we're absolutely. Why would you do that? You know, oh look, check up, yeah, but look at this, and no matter, like I buy a million surfboards and I show them all to Kelsey, and every one of them to her looks exactly the same.
Well, my business partner's got that same problem. He's got a surfboard addiction that he spends, and his wife's just like, another fucking board? What are you talking about? The new one came in last week. But it is weird. But to what you said about people coming to your show, when I first moved to America, I was like, man, I wish I cared about sports. I wish I cared about anything, my personal health and well-being, as much as people care about sports here, right? Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, people are like diehard fans. But then when we had the store and you start seeing people rock up, like for when we'd have parties at General Admission and people actually come, you're just like, oh my God, I'm so thankful you're here. Like, you can't comprehend it as a consumer. Like, if you went up to one of your fans at a show and were just like, I cannot believe you're here, they'd be like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'm here because I love it, or I'm stoked to be here. But to you, it makes like, it's such a big deal. And I didn't understand that before we had the store.
Yeah, I get it. It's funny, you know, and I used to always think, why are people coming to see me? Like, I know I can play music and I can sing. I do know I can do that. It's not a boastful thing. That's what I do.
Well,
I've been doing it for a long time.
They can't figure out. They've seen you speak and they can't figure out that this guy can think actually clearly. There's no way that it can be coherent when it comes out of his mouth.
For any of my viewers who are listening to Damien right now, Damien is from South Africa. That is where his accent is from.
The best rugby team in the world, if you must know.
Hey, whoa.
Yeah.
Ireland have given South Africa a run for their money on many occasions.
The Irish are one of my favorite teams. They're a great team. And as long as I support anyone that's playing against Australia and New Zealand. That's the kind of general rule of thumb.
Considering how small Ireland is, like, we do have a good rugby team. You know, for our population, there's only 6 million people live in Ireland. And our rugby team is pretty hefty.
No, it's incredible. Same as Australia, that too. Like, the amount of sportsmen that come out of that small country is out of this world, and just talented people around in general. But now you've got your pride and joy, Connor. He's just coming off a win. The nation's back up on top. Everyone's feeling pretty good.
Man, rugby. What's the next? Is rugby going to be like? Rugby's going to be the same as my online shows. Rugby is going to be just pay-per-view, an empty stadium.
Well, I heard in Australia they were actually taking NRL, which is like the Australian league that they're called Aussie Rules. I heard they were actually thinking about taking over this whole town and all the teams coming and no families allowed. So just like the players, and they all get tested, and then just using one stadium to play games, like 2 games a day. That's just live broadcasted. So people can watch live sports. And that's how they would run their whole season and basically just take over this whole city and just do that for, you know, instead of a 6-month season, just squash it down to kind of like a 3-month season and play night in, night out, which I thought was quite a genius idea.
It is a genius idea. I mean, it's funny how many people are that. It's sad to see everybody's business right now and everybody's lives on their head, without a doubt. But what I'm finding very interesting is seeing the real businessmen and the real cute people out there who are still working a way around it no matter what. It's amazing to see people who are like, oh, well, I'm just going to move everybody to a town and take over the town, and then we're going to do that, and, you know.
Yeah, I think this is where you'll see the businesses, brands, and people come out on top are the ones that, like, are, looking to make gains during this time, right? Looking to like get crafty, figure out what does the new world look like, because I think we're all starting to realize that it's not going to be normal for the next kind of 1 to 2 years. We're going to be wearing masks and people will be cautious to go do stuff or spend money. So while everybody's sitting on their hands, if you can be getting busy exactly what you're doing, playing shows and trying to get people together or listen or take people away from the reality for a minute, whether it's through music or through sports or whatever it is, those are going to be the people that have loyal fan base and come out on top, and survive on the other side of this.
It's so funny when you say it. Go ahead.
No, because I think it's delusional for people to think that's just going to be, the switch is just going to be turned back on. It's going to be back to normal.
Yeah, I don't get that either. It bewilders me that so many people, like the majority of people, seem to keep going, well, the government said it's going to be good on June 4th. I'm like, what? Where is this? What are you? Who pulled that out of their ass?
Yeah.
That's like, what are you talking about?
Well,
what is that based on?
People that's the biggest problem. So we're doing a podcast, Chad and I, tomorrow on can you be a conservative and be a surfer? But the bigger overarching story is what's happening like with surfers right now going surfing and protesting the beach closures, and there's kind of this divide, right? But the biggest thing is like, where are people getting their fucking information from? Like, people that are like right wing or liberal, Republicans are looking heavily at those kind of news sources, and you tend to look where you want to look, right, to get the information that you believe is right, versus like actually looking at straight facts and news and people arguing with doctors and lawyers, and then there's all these different kinds. So it's just a big fuck up. Like my mom is like posting shit that she reads on WhatsApp. I'm just like, fuck, mom, this is not the place to get information.
That's a different generation, man. My parents, everybody that's slightly older does all of that. They see things on the internet and they're like, it's true. I read it on the internet. I'm like, what are you? It's funny you're talking about, like, without getting into politics, because no matter what you say about politics, everybody's wrong.
For sure.
But it's funny looking at all my, like, I'm not living in LA anymore. Well, I'm not there right now, but seeing all my liberal friends, and the majority of all the people I know are all like, fuck Trump, whatever, Republicans suck, X, Y, and Z. But at the same time, the second that the gates were opened back up again and the beaches were opened back up again, every one of those people who say all those things were all on the beaches. They were all partying together, even though beforehand they were like, we all need to stay apart, guys. But the second someone told them all that it's okay to go out and communicate and fornicate with each other, they were all basically had their tongues down each other's throats.
Well, Venice was packed this weekend with everyone watching the bioluminescence in the water. Apparently the beach was like Coachella. Everyone checking it out.
There's so many head scratching moments. I'm just watching. I'm so happy. I'm so lucky to be where I am right now. It's so funny. Where I am right now in the middle of the countryside, there's nobody here. I'm very lucky. There's a beach within walking distance that no one's allowed to. It's sweet. But
that's how we feel up in Topanga. Like, we got the state park behind us, so we can go walk and we can get out about and actually do stuff. In South Africa, it's insane. Like, they went into lockdown for a month where you couldn't even walk outside your property line. So my mom would literally just walk up and down the car park, like her little parking space, all day, like do 100 laps. And then they were allowed out. You could only go buy groceries, and then they shut down sales of alcohol and cigarettes. So because in the poor areas, they couldn't afford the people that weren't going to be bringing any income to spend the entire, salary on booze, is what we would all do. So my sister's, who's actually here with me right now, her friend's mom was driving back the other day. She went and picked up booze from a friend. She got pulled over, and they made her pour out 12 bottles of wine. Like,
no way.
Because they found it in the back. Yeah, they're like strict. And then I was telling you a bit about Geordie's
Sorry,
story.
explain that to me once more. You're not allowed booze.
So no cigarettes, alcohol sales in South Africa for the last 5 weeks. They've just started, opening up the country really slowly. But basically, they just said, hey, if we're going to lockdown, it's going to be 5 weeks of, this kind of thing where no one can work or bring any income. We can't afford people just to be spending their entire income or salary on alcohol. Plus, what happens, like, you're stuck inside with your significant other and you're boozing and you're in a small little space, like these poor people are forced to live, like domestic violence rates go through the roof, right? So the president had to take.
Yeah, my wife beats me. My wife beats me daily.
Either way, yeah, someone's getting beaten up. That's it. So
it's sad to say it. Apparently those cases are up 20% in the UK. Like 20%. domestic
Crazy.
violence.
Hopefully, it's more women beating men.
22%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How high?
Huh?
Did he
22%.
say-
Yeah, even higher. Yeah.
Shit. I mean, I don't even think like it's domestic. It obviously is domestic violence too, but it must be tough on. Look at people in LA like who have 3 or 4 housemates, and they're only living in a house because the rent was cheap, and they don't even like the people.
Oh yeah. I never thought about that, but that's
Like,
true.
what's that? That's not called. That's not
Venice.
domestic violence. That's just like roommate violence. I'm sure there's so many people pissed off at one another.
Oh, you wouldn't even coming out of your room. Okay,
Could you imagine?
And then just everybody, you kind of just looking. If you're frustrated and in that kind of mindset, you're just looking to blame someone for the situation, and it just gets a bit toxic, right? So you're just frustrated and.
Yeah, it's a strange time. I mean, for my industry, I mean, as you know, we've spent the last 3 years building this studio that I'm in right now, and we also built a wedding venue and an event space, and we opened it in February, and it was gangbusters from the second we opened it. Every weekend was packed out in our cabins here through Airbnb. We had a bunch of weddings, probably more than likely booked for this summer. They were looking good. We had like a bunch of parties with over 100 people organized. And we had to cancel everything. You know, we had to cancel everything. I can't see myself getting back on the road. I can't see myself getting back on the road this year. I really can't. I have a tour in October, and if anybody's listening, I don't say that because I don't want to go back on the road. I just can't see the reality of people buying tickets and going standing in rooms together, small spaces with 200 people or 300 people. I mean, I just can't see it happening. I probably shouldn't be saying that, but I'm just telling the truth. Like,
neither can I. The same thing with the surf tour. Like Geordie, the surfer I manage, he's always asking like, what do you think? Are we going to be on tour this year? I just can't see them flying people from around the world competing. You know, the beaches, shut down the beach, but I doubt that'll happen, right? The beaches will be the things that are open. So yeah, I feel like all sports in that sense are going to like be like that. You know, unless they can do what the NRL, the Aussie team, was thinking about doing, where, you know, like all the Lakers are tested. They're only moving around together. They've all got tests, and then they're playing in empty stadiums. But it's controlled then, right? Versus bar, and that way people come in and drinking.
Especially for surfing too, though, because a big part of surfing is traveling. So like people would have to be. What, are you going to quarantine people every time they land somewhere for 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's it. That would be impossible, right? Like Geordie's stuck in a room in Johannesburg right now for 2 weeks. He's not allowed out. Like they literally bring breakfast, lunch, and dinner to the door, and he's not allowed to leave the room. Like he's confined to it. So he was in Hawaii, and his wife is on a British passport, and so they got like 3 months stamped in at a time, and her visa was up, so they had to go. So what they decided to do, South Africa was doing these repatriation flights. So everybody went to you had to like, it was crazy. You had to do this like electronic transfer to this like random bank account for like a couple $1,000s to get your flight home. And then South African Airways, the airline is kind of bankrupt. So it's like they are bankrupt. And so there's some third party government agency running it. So it was this whole weird ordeal, and they got kind of confirmation that they'd received payment. Then they flew to Washington from, you know, in California, Hawaii, California, Washington. And flew to Washington, got there. There's just like 300 South Africans trying to get on a flight with like 250 seats. And people like their money, and they've been stuck there. And he's fortunate that he's got money. So he said he sat there for 12 hours waiting for information, literally the very first person at the counter for 12 hours. He didn't pee or crap or anything. And eventually, like the woman came, she's like, oh, no, I don't have your name on a sheet here on the flight list. And like, so he's fucking spinning out. So fortunately, through his travel agent, like moved mountains to get him on. Anyway, got him and his wife on. They get on this plane. There's like 50 seats empty, and there's like 50 people left behind. So some weird rule, but he said it's trippy. Like no information, not allowed to take his surfboards or anything, just a bag. He gets on. He said that people on hazmat suits, like serving them. He's like, he felt like he was like a leper going off to some like island to die. 17-hour flight. Land in Johannesburg. Everyone, he's like, people on the plane are crying, and like it's this whole ordeal.
No way.
Yeah, he's like, it's fucking hectic, and everyone's wearing masks, and it's like being on the plane for 17 hours with a mask on. And lands, they get him all off the plane, just like on the middle of the landing strip. Like, so they don't take him inside through custom, they just keep him on the ground there. Then they're on the ground, they're just kind of there for 5 hours. There's all these buses around. They're not like the airport buses, like 10, 15 seater buses to like move people. And they're there for like 5 or 6 hours just standing around like, what do we do? It's freezing cold outside, no food. People are like freaking out. And eventually they just put him in these buses and like took him off to like random hotels. And he was lucky he got a good hotel. But some people got like the government facility quarantine, which they were saying is like prison, right? And you get 3 meals a day, whatever they make you, and you're not allowed to leave. You can leave your room for an hour a day to go do some exercise in the courtyard. So you're there for 14 days. And then when he leaves, so after 14 days time, he'll be able to travel, but there's no flights, right? So where he lives, a 20-hour drive. So then he's got to drive, get a car and drive for 20 hours. So he's like, he went from living the life in Hawaii to fucking sitting in a 1,000 square foot hotel room for 2 weeks.
Dude, my sister had to do the same thing. Do you know the Diamond Princess, that first boat that was stuck in Yokohama?
Yeah.
About 6 weeks ago, she was on that. My sister Rebecca, she's a performer. She was on that ship. So that's why I've been engrossed in all this COVID-19 coronavirus since like way before it even got to Europe and before it even got it was an absolute nightmare, man. Like there was just people dropping left, right, and center on that boat. And the way that they were dealing with it was fucking insane. Like it didn't make any sense. They were quarantining, they were taking the sick people off the boat and keeping the good people on the boat.
That is fucking insane. This all logic goes out the window, right? Like
it doesn't make any sense. And then they were sending, so there was 3,500 or 3,700 people on this boat, 1,200 of which were crew. The 1,200 crew, they were telling the passengers to stay in the rooms. You have to quarantine your rooms, but the crew were all getting sent down to communal kitchens to eat their food together, queue up together, and then they were sending the same crew to all the rooms to give people their food, clean the rooms. It was fucking insane. Like they were asking my sister Rebecca, who's a musician, she's a piano player, and they're like, "You have to go and start do things with people," and she was like, "Fuck." No way. I'm a fucking piano player. What do you mean? I don't fucking like you go fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she and her room was a cell, bro. Her room didn't even have a window because obviously they're working there. They had like the inside cabin. Her and her boyfriend in a 13 by 13 foot room for fucking over 2 weeks, and only her partner's Australian. The Australian government got the Aussies off, and then she was quarantined for another 2 weeks. So she was quarantined for 4 weeks.
Jesus, that's fucking crazy. She's all good now?
Yeah, she's in Australia now. She's. I mean, Australia's one of the better places to be right now. Yeah. Somehow the Aussies seem to have not caught it. I don't know how, but
it's all the booze. Same as the Irish.
I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying my best. I rarely drink. Like I know everybody thinks I like to drink a lot. I do drink whenever I go out and socialize with friends, and I never drink when I'm home. We have a pub here on the property that we use for the venue. There's Guinness taps out there right now that's full of Guinness, and I still only have like a beer or two. Like I just started drinking, but basically put it like that. I've never done this before. Have beers on my own at home, like I'm just watching my son. Oh, I'm just thinking like a big American dad slugging beers, you know.
It's part of the fun though. You gotta do it, try it out, figure out a few things to figure out what you don't like and what you do like. I woke up with a few hangovers, and then I was like, fuck, I'll have a few beers on the weekend, and that's it, right? Otherwise, I'm just going to turn to fat shit.
Dude, have your hangovers now. Have all the hangovers you can get before your child is born.
That's what I hear.
Get every hangover that you can think of and do them all now. Do all the drinking now. I was up from 5 o'clock this morning, and Waylon woke about 6 times between. He's a year old this week, and we haven't had remotely a full night's sleep since he was born.
That's what I hear. So everyone tells me, and I had this whole like 6 months plan from the time I found out I was like, I'm going to Fiji, Chad and I go to Mexico, score waves, like all this stuff, and this is just fucking record scratch and stuck at home for 12 hours a day with my wife, pregnant, sick wife. I'm now know how to cook, kind of clean, make the dog food. Like I'm fully domesticated through this whole process. I'm less of a man than I was before, and I was half a man before. In terms of what I'm capable of. I'm basically a housewife.
So basically, man, I mean, so you're trying to learn how to. He says you're trying to learn how to become a man. What are you learning how to do?
The tools. I'm learning how to use like actual like saws and all kinds of drills and impact drills, and actually learn how to build stuff a little bit. I've got this house. It's like, it's our house, so we're really lucky to have this little slice of paradise. But it's basically falling off a cliff, right? So it needs a lot of work. So firstly, the guys had to come and do. So, rewind. We had a good year on the business last year. I was just going to be like, oh, we're just going to, like everybody else, assume it was going to keep happening. So I was like, I'll just dump all this money to the house. I'll pay a contractor to come and do it, and he can do it all, right? And the foundation needs to be fixed and this house lifted, which I can't do. So that was going to be the one spent, and then fix up the whole house. And then obviously with all this shit that's happened, it's kind of put a rewind on all that kind of thing. So I've had to learn how to at least like do some framing. I learned how to do framing the other day.
Sweet.
You can learn how to do some like decking. I actually want to build a little deck, another office, and so just like small, like basic stuff that most people learn, before the age of 12 from their dad. But my dad is actually funny, a builder, but he could never build or change a light bulb. It was always my mom. He can tell people what to do. So I inherited his lack of building ability and his skill in being able to delegate, which is terrible. So now I'm trying to catch up for the last 15 years.
The trick with building stuff is you just can't be afraid. You just have to be, and you know that rule, like measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
Like think about if you're not used to doing it, measure 20 times. Like think about how you're going to do something 20 times before you cut or do something, because so many times I've thought about it. I'm like, yeah, that's right. And then you cut it and you're like, fuck, that's completely wrong. It's wrong.
I've had a few of those already.
And then you're like, it's like something really important, like a window frame or something. You've cut a lump off a window frame. You're all, fuck, I can't get that fixed. I can't have to buy a whole new window.
Well, I remember I rocked up to your office one day, your studio in Venice, and you just on the roof of your van with a circular saw, just hacking off the top to build a van. I was like, fuck, what are you doing? You just kind of.
Dude, like, even for me, I like building shit. Like I've been building shit I'm actually building another van here at the minute right now. And that day that I cut the roof off that Sprint, like that's a $70,000 vehicle. That's the most expensive thing, bar a house, that I've ever bought in my life. And I had a fucking chop saw on the roof, cutting a square hole in the roof. And I remember every time I went near it, I was like, is this what you're supposed to do? Like, you just cut it.
I couldn't watch. I had to leave. Remember, I was like, "This is gonna fucking destroy this thing. I can't watch this van."
Dude, it worked. That thing. I think I've done like that was 2 years and a half ago now, 2 years ago, and it hasn't leaked at all. So the window that I put in worked, thankfully.
You sell that van?
Yeah, it's parked in Vegas with all our stuff.
Oh shit! Oh, so you haven't sold it? It's just there waiting for you to come back and.
I just use it for touring now. Kelsey's dad lives in Vegas, so we have all our gear parked there. The van's I leave, and when I get the van parked there, I just leave it so that it's ready to go for the next tour. So if I have a driver, I pay him. He just goes down and get the keys and drives it and meets me, and I fly in and meet him.
Oh, cool. And do you miss Venice and US?
I miss my friends. I just miss my friends. I don't miss Venice. I hate to say it. I miss eating out and getting good food and fancy cocktails. I mean, who doesn't like that? But I don't miss Venice anymore. No, Venice changed a lot, Dooma, in a very short space of time.
I mean, I was only there for 6 years, and even in that space, it's changed a lot. I think the mentality and the culture. Chad, he was there 30 years, 35 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's seen, from Dogtown era to now, right? So it's even more then, but even in just the last 6 years, it's insane from when I moved there to now. And each time I go there, and I don't know if it's now because I'm living in Topanga, but I feel like it's worse than the previous time I went there. From like the homeless to the people and the mentality, the entitlement of people living there now. It seems like it lost its whatever touch it. And obviously there's still great people there, but to me it's pretty lame now.
Yeah, I mean after you moved out, I was like, that's it. I'm fucking packing up. Dooma's gone. I'm out of here. This place is fucking going with dogs.
Property price is about to get too expensive now that he's out.
Dooma left, prices are going to go through the roof.
Like your rent's up.
Dude, I'm so glad that we got rid of our place before we left. I mean, we left just before Christmas. Imagine if we still had our garage right now and our apartment. Like, we couldn't have rented anyone. We would have just been forking out.
Give it all up, the garage and your apartment, everything?
We gave it up, man. We had friends renting stuff. And if anybody's listening to this, not all our friends, but we had friends and friends of friends who were renting it. And it was a fucking nightmare. People just were disrespectful. They were breaking shit and arguing about stuff, and then like people were like, obviously it was all like no written contracts. We were like, hey, if you're going to leave, give us a heads up. And some people were contacting us like 3 days before. They were like, oh, hey, we're leaving your apartment. Where do you leave the keys?
Oh, that sucks.
And we were like in Ireland in a different time zone, and you're just like, what?
Yeah, I Airbnb'd my little place in Venice once. It's actually funny. It's the reason I ended up leaving Venice because I got caught with an old Airbnb post from 2 years before that they somehow found on the internet that. So we Airbnb'd it once, and I was so self-conscious about. It's an old home. It was built 110 years ago. And the people judging, like someone had written, like, oh, like the windowsills are a bit dirty, and like I was like, yeah, the home's 100 years old, like just shit like that, right?
Yeah, we had people do the same thing to us. Like, we had our place completely furnished in Venice, and people were coming. I mean, you've seen the old building that we had. It was across the street from General Admission. And people will be like, the walls are really cracked, and you know, the furniture is this. I'm like, we were charging like $1,500 for a month on the beach in Venice for a furnished apartment with a car space. I'm like, where have you been living?
Yeah, exactly. And something to note too, remember there's some good black mold in that building too. On top of it, did Nick and Chris
No. That was the building next door.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah.
Fuck, I was gonna say.
I don't want to get sued by anybody. There's no black mold. Yeah, the one next door, man, that place is falling apart.
Yeah, that place. I mean, that's just all those old places. It's what you get when you're staying in an old place for cheap, right? Like, but that people just have this idea of perception versus reality, right? You come to Venice Beach, you get a sick place for cheap that's furnished, and you expect that you're staying in the Ritz-Carlton.
Dude, we would have been better off. We were trying to not be part of the problem in LA with the rent, so we decided to rent our place for basically less than what we were renting it for. We were like, as long as we get somebody in who looks after for us, we're not making a cent. And we're not part of the problem. We're giving somebody a cool place. Dude, we would have been better off charging people $9,000 a month, and then they would have thought, oh, I've got a deal on an amazing deal in Venice. Oh, it's fully furnished. There's a car space at the back. It's only $9,000 a month.
No good deed goes unpunished. That's the saying.
I said to Kelsey, I was like, it would be different. Like, the hassle that we're getting for these places, it would be different if we were making a couple of $100 each or something out of it a month. I was like, but it's not worth it. So we just get rid of them all. It wasn't.
Yeah, you should have just thrown a Mexican blanket on it and charged $9,000. So for those of you that watch this, Keith has got this theory that he taught me, and it's the most spot on theory I've ever heard. In Venice Beach or Los Angeles or Greater Los Angeles with the slightly elevated working class, whatever you're trying to sell, throw a Mexican blanket on the back end and charge another $1,000 or $200 on the price, and it'll get sold like that.
It's a fucking no-brainer. Just put a couple of wee leather straps around a Mexican blanket and sit it there and charge whatever you want, and you could charge.
So I sold my truck. I just threw a Mexican blanket on the seat, draped it over nicely, and this thing is vintage.
Did you sell your truck?
I sold the truck. Yeah, that's why I had to sell it to buy this house, and it's the worst decision I ever made. Again. Another problem though with not being a real man is you don't know how to fix cars and do stuff like that. And this is an old truck, right? That just needed to be able to small fix with gasket or tights and oil leaks or different things like that, right? And I just didn't know how to do any of that shit, so it ended up costing me.
If you're going to have an old car, you need to be willing to get dirty and know how to fix shit. Otherwise, you're going to be constantly bringing it to the mechanic, and it could be for the smallest stuff. I actually bought a welder today. I bought a MIG welder. I'm going to start welding. That's my next feather in the hat.
That shit scares me.
It scares me too. But like, have you ever tried to pay someone to go weld? Like for like a piece of weld this size, it costs hundreds and hundreds. I bought a MIG welder today for $200. Going to see what happens.
That goes. Yeah. Maybe you just forget you're not able to play the guitar anymore. Yeah, because you just cooked on your fingers.
So what's happening? Are you surfing at all, or what's the deal?
So I've surfed 3 times since the pandemic. I snuck down to HB this weekend. I've been trying not to be a part of the problem. It seems weird that I've got all this time. I should be surfing, and there's been some decent days, but I've been trying not to. But the urge has gotten the better of me a few times, so I've been there. But mostly just working. Chad and I've been busy. We got some projects. We got a good show, 2 shows that are coming out with Red Bull. One's kind of following some young kids through their Hawaii season, kind of young pro surfers that are on the cusp of kind of greatness or qualifying for the big leagues. And then the other one is on these 3 big wave surfers, and they spend time in Portugal, Maui, and then just Oahu. And it's this young girl. She's kind of decided that she's just going to become a big wave surfer, like randomly decided. She's a pretty good surfer before. And then this guy, Lucas Chombo, he's actually spent a lot of time in Ireland at Malagmore. Crazy Brazilian. He's kind of like the best big wave surfer coming up. And then this girl, Emmy Erickson, is just this like outwardly spoken big wave surfer from Hawaii who has this kind of rich history, but kind of really fucked up like family environment, but surfing brought them together. So her story is really good, maybe like the strongest one. So we've got 2 episodes launching in the coming weeks of that. So we've been busy. We had a bunch of Olympic shit going on too before this all happened, because Geordie's in the Olympics.
What were you doing with the Olympics?
So we did a really cool documentary style piece with Jeep in it and World Surf League, and basically they sponsored Geordie, Felipe, and this chick Nikki Van Dyke, and they'd said to them, "Hey guys, what can we do for you to?" Well, it's kind of our concept that we pitched them, but here's how you can add some real value to your surfers' lives, right? Like the only thing that you can really help them with in surfing for the Olympics is equipment. I don't know if you remember, it was kind of based off that idea that Red Bull did with Shaun White those years back. Remember when they built him the custom half pipe out of the middle of some mountain. Anyway, so we built this custom shaping facility. You would actually have loved it because we bought these 2 containers and we cut them out and built these insane shaping facilities out in Chiba, the beach where the Olympics is going to be. And then we had Geordie and Felipe hurt his back right before, unfortunately, but Nikki, they were literally, and then we brought their shapers over and we brought physios over and all kinds of stuff. And they would basically go for a surf, come back and say, this board needs to be a bit thicker or wider or whatever wasn't working. And their shaper would shape the board on the spot. It would get glassed and they'd have it the next morning. So they're doing this like for 4 or 5 days straight. Yeah, just shaping, fine-tuning equipment. And then by the end, they go, okay, here's the board that I'm going to ride in the Olympics, right? I've got this like perfect board because unfortunately where the Olympics is going to be is probably the most dog shit waves you've ever seen. And it will be, if it's knee high, if it's as good as Venice Beach on any day of the year, it'll be a good day.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Dude, it's so funny. Like where you grew up with surfing, like the surf pumps, where I grew up here, the surf pumps. And then I thought by moving to California, I would surf more. I'm pretty sure I surfed less. Because
totally.
it used to blow my, like here, if the surf like Venice Beach was here, everybody would be like, fuck that, I'm not going out there. Like you wouldn't even bother, you wouldn't even come close to putting the concept of putting a wetsuit on. Whereas everybody in LA is all, man, breakwater, bro, was solid 2 feet this morning. It was glassy. I'm all, fuck that.
Google Point.
You know what I mean? I'm just, what do you say, Google Point?
Google Point. Well, even like Malibu. Like Malibu's a wave that's considered like, one of the best waves in California, right? And it's probably more known.
6 times a year, it's good.
Easy, boys.
Yeah.
Easy now.
And it is just fucking, it is like the worst wave. It would be the worst point break in South Africa. Like it would
I mean, it's a great wave.
A couple of kids and old dudes would surf it. Like basically the point at J Bay, which is the very bottom of Super Tubes, like way down the beach where like kind of it's like kids and old people and people learning to surf. That's as good, if not better. You can actually get barreled there versus Malibu, and it can hold a bigger wave. And it's just, so it drives me insane when there's like 1,000 people talking about like day of the year in Malibu. I'm just like,
I know.
And just because we were lucky, right, to grow up in rich surfing areas.
Of course, but it's so funny, how. I mean, I love the culture in LA. I love the surf culture. I love the car culture, that whole California vibe. But, a lot of people there think that's the universe of surfing, and it really isn't. Like, I mean, our surf here is bonkers. I mean, it's the one day that I would have said, like that big day in Malibu about, when was that? Like 6 years ago?
Yeah, 5 years ago, probably.
I got a 6'6" gun just shaped for like Bali, because I was going to Bali like a week after that, and I just got my board. And I was like, this swell's coming. I was like, I'm fucking going out. Dude, I remember paddling out, and there must have only been 3 or 4 people. It was pitch black when I was paddling out, and I tried to paddle it at second, and I nearly got murdered going out that morning because it was super low tide, and I got out at third point. And fuck that day. That day was a good day. I'll say that. It was good that day.
Totally, it was amazing. Like I remember paddling out, same thing, third point up the top and being like, whoa, this is big. Like these are some big heavy waves and the shape was there. But fuck, Chad's like he's lived his whole life. What was that, once every?
Never seen it.
Never seen it before.
No way. No way.
I've ever seen in California.
In 40 years of being and Chad's a great surfer. 40 years of being a surfer, you see that once in California.
Like that was the first time. I mean, I lived in LA I've been there now for like 8-9 years, even though I haven't been there this year. But that was the first time in California, my time being there surfing, where I was like climbing, like panicking if I didn't get over one or two. I was like, and I've only ever felt that here in Ireland or like Bali, where you're like, I have to get over this next fucking wave or I will not come out the other. I'm going to die if I don't get over this wave. You know, and I love that feeling. I always have this weird reaction. My left leg starts shaking with adrenaline. Only my left leg, so my board's like it's here, and I'm paddling with a wave, going, Jesus, get me over. But that's the only time I've ever felt that in California. You know, I've had some good bike days, but
it's insane. But it's just the movies, right? The movies are marketed California as this like great surf destination. It's not like, and then like Huntington Beach is like Surf City, right? It's not even. It's the shittiest wave. Or better than Venice.
Rincon's a good wave. When Rincon's on fire, Rincon's another good wave. You know,
It
it is.
but
I've had probably more better surfs there.
5 times a year with 150 people out.
Yeah, there's so many people. I know.
It's chaos. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's like there's just not enough surf spots for how many surfers there are here. Or not enough high quality surf spots, right? For how many surfers there are. Like you guys, you send me pictures of the waves out front of your house, and all the time there's like 3 people out looking for a buddy to surf with. And it would be as good as the day of the year here.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, we're spoiled here. It's all slabs here as well. Point
spoiled,
breaks.
but it's freezing cold. Like, I got buddies that won't even, no thank you.
Yeah, it is cold here. I mean, that's why I'm building another van right now. I've always had a van here surfing. You know, it's game changer when you come out of the water and you've got a van to get changed in. I've seen us days, man, it being that cold. Where literally 2 or 3 of us guys are holding a key to try and get the key turned in the door. I kid you not.
Trying to do your top button on your jeans.
You're no movement. Your hands like just rubber, like no movement in your hands at all. And you're trying to. And I haven't been surfing as much as what I used to. I used to surf. Music's my first and foremost right now. But like when I was like 16, I was like 22, 23. I was in the water as like 3 times a day if I could make it. And it's so funny. The waves that we grew up surfing on, you got to your feet. And they're fast. They're either fast and hollow, or you just have to get out of the way. So when I moved to LA, surfing on those, like, I genuinely can't surf like those tiny mushy things. It's just a completely different style of surfing.
Yeah, it's just the desire is not there either. But do you think has Ireland got it crowded with the better wetsuits being made? More crowded or more people surfing? I mean, naturally it's everywhere in the world, but I imagine
there's definitely way more surfers. For sure, there's way more surfers now than there ever was. Like whenever I used to surf when I was younger here in Donegal, up around the northern parts, like it was always the same guys. I knew everybody. Like you knew everybody on the scene. And it's funny, I went surfing about a year ago at my local beach, a beach here called Culdaff. It's about a half hour, 40 minutes from my house. And I pulled up on a big truck. I have a truck here, you know, it's a Ford Ranger. Like nobody here really drives trucks. And there's like about 10 young kids all getting suited up. And they're all kind of staring at me going, who's the crazy looking bastard with the long hair and the big truck? And they're all like staring at me and I'm just staring back at them all. And I'm getting my suit on and I turn around. And I didn't know any of them. And I turn around and I point at them all. And I says, if any one of you wee fuckers come near me in the water, you're going to hear it. And they were all like, what? What? I was like, nobody comes near me out in the water. They could all surf way better than me. The kids were great. But I don't know. The surf scene now here is definitely got, you know, the internet has exploded everything everywhere across the world. Without a doubt, there's way more surf schools. There's way more people surfing. But you know what, though? Here, there's so many different variants of waves that you're still going to get your day with your buddies on any given day. There's certain areas. It depends where you want to go. You'll get days where there's nobody there, you know.
Yeah, and if there's 4 guys out and you pull up to a spot with a bunch of friends, there's no point going and destroying their session. Just move on. There's another spot around the corner.
Man, like between here and 2 hours down the road, say we're like Mullaghmora's, that wave you're talking about, Mully, like there must be. In County Donegal alone, there's more beaches than days in the year in this tiny county that I live in.
Incredible.
Like there's more beaches than days in the year. So if you went to a different beach every day, you could surf at a different beach every day, and then you could keep going and still come back. And they're all here. You need to know your homework here too. There's so many different variants. It's super tidal. There's every beach. It's super craggy. The headland goes to every direction. So you need to know all your swell directions. You know, you need to know your tides. You need to know your wind directions. It's not like LA where you just walk out and go, it's offshore or it's onshore, you know.
Forget music. You're gonna become a vlogger. Your vlog's gonna be surfing every beach in Donegal in the year, right? 365 days, 374 beaches.
Dude, how nice would that be if you had that time? But that's why I'm building a van here at the minute right now. I didn't have a van last year, and I remember getting changed last year if you're not used to surfing here, which I'm not anymore, dude, it is so cold. It is like when you're getting that, especially if you're going for your second surf, and it's a freezing cold, literally frozen wetsuit, and you're trying to pull that thing on. It's hell.
Yeah, no thanks. No, it wouldn't even surf. But yeah, the van is the key, right? Being able to get in, change, put the heater on. I spent some time in the UK and like Devon and that surfing a bit during winter once, and it made all the difference.
Yeah, the van I'm building right now, I'm putting a log burner into it. So I've actually built like a whole fireplace area in the van. There's a log burner with a chimney coming out the roof, so it's going to be toast. Yeah, yeah.
That's legal?
No, 100% illegal.
It's
100%
awesome.
highly illegal.
You gotta watch that show. It's called Home on it's on Apple TV Plus, and it's like about all these bitchin' houses that are built kind of around the world. Anyway, there's this episode on Maine, and the way that they burn, you know how they do the burn charred like wood paneling, and the way that they do that, it's insane. Because it's like kind of for the more extreme elements. You should look to do some of that. I'll send you the episode. It's out of this world. You could definitely do it. And if you paneled the van and that with that on the chimney, it would be out of this world. I'll send it to you.
I'll definitely check it out.
Like
I'm keeping this one as some
tradition, 100 years old. And basically what they do is they create this kind of triangle vent in wood. So they'll just like tape up the sides or wire the sides. So you've got this triangle with three planks, and they put it on a fire and it creates a vacuum. And the vacuum chars the inside of the wood. Like say it's a 2-inch slat or an inch slat, or kind of you do 50% of it, and it creates this. It strengthens the wood. What it does is it strengthens and waterproofs it. And by doing that, it lasts like homes have not been touched for 300 years and looked like they were just built through Japan. Anyway, this guy does it in Maine, and it's fucking out of this world. It looks exactly like a home that would be an island, and then you can use the paneling for whatever you want to waterproof it. Because it just lasts forever.
I would love to have like my own sawmill and my own forest. Like that would, for me, that would be primo. Like, 'cause I love building stuff with wood. Like I genuinely love it. Like even this van right now, everything inside the van's wood. But I built 2 cabins last year. The second cabin that we built, we called it the Snug. I mean, that thing is fucking beautiful. And I'm not like
I saw the pictures. It's insane.
The view, you can see the ocean from it and the mountains. I mean, there's no. The thing is, a lot of people who are doing the Airbnb sort of style cabins in their garden, or like the glamping kind of idea, they're just buying these prefabricated, cabins that are all coming in. So they've all got basically the same identical cabins in the yard, whereas the ones that we built.
Bummer. There should be a restriction on that. Like you're not allowed to do that, so it doesn't all look the same, because it's kind of the character of it, right? I mean, you saw.
That's one thing I do love. That's one thing I do love about America, is houses are all different in America. Whereas here in Ireland, when it comes to housing, they all look the same. It's because of planning regulations. They make houses have to look traditional, certain size of windows.
But you think Venice, like how cool, even like just the street that I used to live on in Venice, off Venice Boulevard, there was like the most bitchin' old little cabins, and every home was kind of unique. And then as people just bought them and just built like corner to corner modern structures, each home became looking. So even in Venice, they all look the same now. Because they're trying to maximize square footage, and this is the style, and this is what, if you're going to sell it to.
You shouldn't be allowed to do it. Because I always said that to Kelsey when we were just moving out. I noticed it more. See what you were saying with living in Topanga and going back into Venice. I noticed it more and more with always being away and coming back. And every time I went back to Venice now, it always blows me away that they're allowed to tear down all these old school houses. Because America's not that old. They haven't got much history. And if you keep allowing people, they tear down, but it's a history left, right, and center. What's it ever going to look like?
Totally, yeah. How old is America? 150 years? I should have learned this in my. Hey, Keith just did his.
Depends on where in America. It's a lot.
I'm in America.
Yeah, but I mean like California.
Yeah, California. It's 150 years.
Yeah,
so my house was built up here in 1925.
Okay.
Yours was built 28 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
100.
Fucking old, man. I mean, but that's nothing. Like if that's Europe, it's.
Yeah, Europe.
That'd be like a brand new house.
The Palace of Versailles was built before America was found.
That's right.
That shit is insane.
Yeah, man. I mean, this building that I'm in right now, this is 200 years old. This building, and that isn't old at all. I have an American flag that I bought one time on tour. It's 19 foot by 17 foot. An original. Don't ask me why I bought it. It's an original American flag that came off the back of a battleship in New York, and it's only got 32 stars on it. So it was that flag is 1880 something, early 1880s.
Incredible.
Flag is absolutely. I brought it home and Kelsey was like, "What's that?" I'm all, "It's an American." I was all, "Promise you, this thing's gonna be worth so much money someday." And then I started Googling it, bro. I started Googling this flag, and 32-star flags in America sell for $250,000, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Like, they sell for a lot of money. So I was like, fucking sweet, this flag's worth a couple of $100K. I started looking up new boats and motorbikes online. And then I sent a picture of the flag off to that Sotheby's auction house in New York. And they got back to me. They were like, nah, that's worth like $320.
What did you pay for it?
I only paid $200 for it.
Okay, so I hope
But
you
it
sent
is
it off.
original. It is original, and it is from the back of a battleship in New York. And the only reason that it isn't valuable is because the people collect flags, want to display their flags, and nobody has a wall that's the size of a house. That's the only reason it's not worth. Dude, I was with Kelsey. I was like, we can buy a house in Portugal. I'm going to buy this motorbike.
Fuck, it's a cruel world, isn't it?
That's reality. You know, that's just the way it is.
See
The
some,
flag's
like,
a cool flag.
You can see some like crazy art piece in some high ceiling building and a drape down and maybe sell it.
That's
there.
what I'm banking on, like somebody like Ralph Lauren or something like that buying it off me for their like window in Fifth Ave.
For a nice denim jacket and a box of smokes.
Hey, dude.
Give you.
I must get a few Mexican blankets and throw it on it, and I can add an extra $2 on the price.
Just strap a couple Mexican blankets along the way.
Don't even show the flag, just cover it in Mexican blankets and put a price on it, stick it on Abercrombie.
$400,000.
Dude, I bet you any money. Here's an idea for a TV show. I bet you any money. If you put me on Abercrombie with that flag, I could sell it for at least $5,000 in one day. Let's
do it.
I bet you any. It could be done. Somebody there would be like, oh my God, where did you get this? And I'd be all, well, actually, it came from the back of the battleship Royale, which was, there was 490 people murdered off a famine ship in New York. And my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather bought it. Here's a Mexican blanket, $5,000. And they...
I'm selling it to be able to support my family to get them home to Ireland. Back to out there.
Didn't tell you. Just throw a Mexican blanket on.
My great-great-grandfather's got toe cancer. We need to raise funds.
But dude, it's a beautiful flag. I mean, it really is stunning. And I have the original sack that it came in, and it was made by a company in Pittsburgh. I mean, it's a really cool piece of history. It's just not worth anything. I thought it was worth thousands, but whatever.
That's unfortunate. That's cool. I'd love to see.
Hey, are we going to move to Portugal, or what's the deal?
Oh man, me and Chad talk about it all the time. We've got to get a place over there soon before it's already exploding, but before it's even more expensive. But that's the space. I need to take Kristen there on a trip and show her and maybe buy a second house there because that's a place to grow old.
Yeah, I could quite happily live there forever around Ericeira or like.
It's the best part of Europe by far. I mean, other than what you say home, but I mean like of the Spain, France, you know.
Oh, I agree for sure. Like. The surf too is just pumping.
The price, exactly. The surf is pumping. The people are awesome. The price of goods and living is way less. Food's insane.
Food's great.
Yeah, no, I'm all about Portugal. I fucking would love to. I was looking at properties the other night for hours after you sent me the link.
I laughed. I said to Kelsey, I sent Dooma a link to that place that we always look at, and we were laughing. We were like, for sure, he was looking at that until like 5 a.m.
Yeah, I was. I was literally just clicking in and. I think if you go there, you find even better deals too. You know, I think that's where you go and you kind of just drive down the road and see a house for sale. You know, it seems like their digital home selling is not quite as like efficient as the US or quite.
How bad are the photographs for the houses?
Oh, the shittiest places.
What's going on there?
It's like an iPhone 1. Somebody took an iPhone 1 and like snapped it like at an angle like this.
Every housing executive there must just hire their grandmother and give her an iPhone 1 and say, hey, go take photographs of that house over there.
I just don't think they value like I think buying a home is such a personal thing. It probably is still over there, right? That they don't even think it's more just like, hey, here's the property. Come and look at it, right? You'll see the magic in it once you come here.
We were so close in January. I was trying to work out the finances of how to get this one house. We absolutely fell in love with it. And then we ended up not. And I'm so glad right now because we wouldn't have even been able to have flown there or sorted out the nightmare that it would have been. So it's hindsight it was a better off thing, but it actually just came back on the market.
Well, hindsight, it's going to be a lot cheaper properties in the coming months. I mean, it's unfortunate, but just the market's going to drop. So now's the gap. And I heard you can actually even get financing to the government there. Like if you put a good
the one thing
down.
about Portugal will give an outsider a loan, which is rare. I found that out. It's a 20% down payment. Check this out. So in Ireland here, I have a mortgage here for this house that we're in right now. And the bank here was wanting me to give them 30% as a down payment instead of 20, which is, so when you buy a house normally in Ireland, it's 10%, which isn't a lot. And for me to buy a second house, they were looking for 30% of the value of the house in Portugal. So I went to a bank in Portugal and they were like, nah, for an outsider, it's just 20%. So it's cheaper for me to get a mortgage in Portugal than it is in my own country with a bank that I already have.
And probably at a better rate too.
Yeah, it was a better rate.
What
was
interest
a better
rate
rate.
did they offer you? Or
What's
was it
that?
around? What interest rate was it in Portugal?
I can't remember now, but it was better than what I had here because I remember looking at it at the time.
We looked when we were in Japan. Chad and I kind of fell in love with the zone in Miyazaki, which is just the most beautiful countryside of Japan. And we were looking at these bitching old homes, and I was like, I'm always interested in property and the cost of everything, living, in different areas and countries. And I looked and I couldn't really find places, and then everything was super cheap. And then I asked one of the local guys that was showing us around, and he told us, like, other than Tokyo, right, that's this high density metropolitan area, there's not much value in owning a property there. They kind of buy it like it's kind of treated like buying a car, right? It's a depreciating thing. So, and the interest rates are pretty much 0%. So people don't have this need to buy an expensive property and own it and pay it off because living in a rent's cheap, interest rates are pretty much zero. There's not as much value, and it's not like a hot commodity thing that people make millions or billions of dollars off, which I thought was quite interesting. Because there's so much
Where's
land
that?
in countryside.
Where is that?
The coast of Japan, Miyazaki.
Miyazaki?
Yeah,
I haven't been there. I would love to go to Japan. I would I've always wanted to go there.
It's the greatest place in the world. I promise you, it's every time, it's actually kind of like this coronavirus thing. Like you think, okay, when this thing ends, we're all going to treat each other better. We're going to be kinder to one another, be a bit more patient, and in 2 weeks, we're back to normal being assholes again. But every time you go to Japan, you come back, you want to be a better person, be kinder, all these different things, because their mentality and their approach to life is insane. The level of respect for one another, the way that they treat their job. Like if you work on the roads at the toll booth, you treat it like you're doing a great job and you're actually like contributing towards society, and so you have the utmost respect for your profession. Here and everywhere else, people don't really give a fuck. You're like, this is a shitty ass job that I hate, and that's the feeling you get when you pull up. Whereas there, they're very thankful, but they are challenged there with the birth rate is declining, the death rate's going up. So with people to work those jobs, because all the young people flock to the city, to Tokyo. So it's quite a weird dynamic. So a lot of the people on the coast are quite old.
Perfect. Let's go. Let's go. Let's buy it all.
You gentrify Japan.
Let's gentrify. Let's go. I'll bring my flag. We'll try and sell it. Throw a few Mexican blankets over houses. I mean, I'll bring a container full of Mexican blankets and just start firing them over every house you see.
We'll have everyone from Venice living in Japan in a matter of weeks.
Hey, do you know what too though? It's funny what you're saying. If you come back from Japan and you're saying kind of like the same as the coronavirus, people saying that they're going to be better to one another, and I hope I actually wrote a song about that last week, and the song's called "When This Is All Over." And it's basically, the chorus of the songs, when this is all over, I'm going to hug a stranger in the street. I'm going to go and kiss me man da. I'm going to love people more. But the main part of the verses is like, full of opening lines. Please don't go back to the ways of yesterday. Like, please, like that's the one thing I do fear. I hope that people don't, but I fear that people will, because I hope that people take so much more from this than just staying at home, so much more from this than just not making money. Like, realize that how valuable your life is and how easily you can fucking lose everything that's in it. And please don't go back to your shitty ways of Black Friday fucking sales and eating shitty food and going to Walmart and buying the most terrible food. If you can't afford it, go and buy good food, go and shop local, support your buddy's businesses. Don't be an asshole.
Well, I'm excited for like the local farmers market up the road here to go buy veggies again when it opens up and like do that kind of stuff, right? And not have to fucking go to Walmart and Costco and Target and like take a bit more time because we're just in this life of like, more, and the speed we're moving. We forget to go like, hey, actually take some time to go to farmer's market and buy food or invest time into getting, whether it's food or friends and family, whatever it is, right? So I hope so. I think personally I will. I think I'll definitely try have a better approach to it all going forward. And I mean, we're lucky we've got to travel a lot, so we have a lot of perspective. But I hope the rest of the country and the rest of the world that everybody kind of has that similar approach and kind of appreciation for how lucky we all are and what we have these days.
I do too. That's the kind of the concept of my song. I'm basically going, please just let's all look at what's happening and be nicer to each other after all this shit's over.
Yeah, it's not that hard. Like, just like if you're in traffic, like you don't have to speed and fucking get past someone. Just be a bit more patient. Like just small little things day to day, right?
Yeah.
But what reality is, we'll just be back to being shitty in fucking 3 months' time, whether it's 1 month, 6 months, or 3 months. Like it's like we're a shitty bunch.
Yeah. Well, actually, as you say though, I'm not gonna. No, my plan, funny this year was I was going to stop touring in June this year, and then my plan was to actually start a podcast, was to actually start a Patreon. So it just came earlier in the year for me.
Well, that's what Chad and I have been talking so much about is like coronavirus is the great accelerator, right? So like our podcast has been focused in the surf industry, and we've been talking a lot about like what was happening now was always going to happen, whether it was 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years. It's just now it's accelerated, right? So it's like all the shitty businesses are in a shitty position now but they would be in a few years anyway. Surfers, athletes, whatever your profession is. So that's all it's been. It's like it's forced us to go, okay, make moves, do the things we were talking about, and especially like for the podcast, same as us, we started it 4 weeks ago now. We've got a couple of episodes, so we might have just fumbled around for another 6 months doing it, but forced us to do it and get crafty. And then now, how do we turn this into, which I'm sure you're thinking about, it ties perfectly into your touring and all that stuff. You're always around interesting people. You on the road. I mean, you could post up you could be in Michigan and have a conversation with somebody in a bar and record it. That's super fascinating to one of your fans in Ireland or the UK or anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're starting to see now. It's just how do we tie what we read. I think one thing coronavirus has done is made us figure out, okay, what do we actually really want to do in our lives? What makes us happy, and how do we kind of circle everything on the professional side around like what we actually makes us happy. So for Chad and I, we love talking about these subjects and we love doing strategy and research. Love hearing the sound of our own voice. So how do we do that more often? How do we get paid to do that? So you can figure that out. You're fucking winning.
Well, for sure. I mean, I genuinely started the podcast just to kind of give my people who like my music a bit of more of content of me, and bring them into my life a bit more and get them to know even more of me than they already did. But now that I'm doing it more, and I'm getting like quite a bit of traction, considering I'm waiting to have, this is podcast number 8 that I've done. I'm going to wait to have 10, and I'm going to put 10 on the iTunes and stuff like that. For right now, I'm just recording and getting them on YouTube. But then after that, I'm thinking about, contacting Irish companies for sponsorship of Irish companies as much as American companies, because for me, my main market is America and Canada. Third is Australia. And they're all into the whole Irish scene. So if I start getting, a bit of bread and butter from different companies here, whether it be through tourism or bars or restaurants or a hotel chain, I think that would be good for the goose and good for the gander.
Yeah, well, we got an email from this podcast company that's kind of hosting ours. I haven't told Chad this yet, but like last night saying, hey, like here's a brand to promote on your next podcast, right? Like do this one and this is how it pays, blah, blah, blah. And then upon further review, I've kind of figured out it's good. For the small amount of views we have now, it's probably not worth promoting somebody just yet for that small figure. But I would rather go and promote, like one of our friends was like, yo, promote our restaurant down the road because we know we have a bunch of your listeners live in our area and a bunch of friends, create awareness around that and like come by and we'll give you guys like free food and drinks, right? So
speaking of which, Omar, how's Omar's restaurant doing?
Yeah, that's Omar. So he's like, hey, promote it on the next one and you guys, I'll give you guys dinner and booze.
What's Omar's new restaurant? What's his new restaurant called?
It's called Hermanito, which is Little Brother.
Little Brother.
The Little Brother.
Where
bar,
is it?
Yeah, it's in Sawtell, so it's called Japantown, right? Up Sawtell, where all the amazing like izakaya restaurants are and all that. So it's bitchin', it's cool, and the food's good, and they've been doing a good job of like making it like affordable during these times, right? So like, how do they just move volume and get awareness and get local people coming by? So Omar's killing it. He's done a good job. We went on Friday for lunch, and you get like margarita mix that I finished before we even got home. And
Dude.
Because one good thing now, Keith, I don't know if it's that way, but you can basically drink and drive now, as long as you just like put some sanitizer around your mouth.
Dude, did you see the video today? Like the video of some woman in America walking into a store and she's wearing the face mask with the mouthpiece cut out.
No,
have you seen that?
Couldn't breathe.
Jesus! And the dude behind the counter is filming her.
I love it, dude.
It's over.
Darwin,
And the guy's like, ma'am, can I just ask you why have you cut that? Why have you cut the mouthpiece out of your mask there? And she's all like, well, I can breathe better when there's no bit here, so I just cut it out so I can breathe and speak, and then I can wear the mask. And the guy's like, okay, great, I must try that.
It's a great accent. But
Very well done.
in the news yesterday, there was another kid from Utah. He was 5 years old. Highway patrol pulled him over driving on the freeway. He was going to California to buy a Lamborghini because his mom wouldn't. He had $3 in his pocket. His mom wouldn't buy a Lamborghini. He got pissed off and stole the car and got pulled over by highway patrol. So, photo of a 5-year-old driving a car. Fucking.
Dude, the world's coming to an end, and it's coming to an end in a very stylish way. I will say that.
Yeah. I like the one. Did you see the one? It was a mask with like snot coming out like the nose, like phlegm through the on top of the printed. It's gross.
Dude, I have to say though, being back here in Ireland, that's one thing I did miss about being in America, and why I always came back to Ireland was for the humor. Like we've such a different sense of humor here. We don't take ourselves seriously at all, and we love making fun of one another. The more fun somebody makes of you, that means they just like you more. And like, if you heard me in my, what's up?
It's like a form of endearment, right? Making fun of one another means you.
100. Well, Irish. There's an old Irish saying they always say, fighting's a sign of Irish true love. Like if you fight with somebody, it means you love them.
Yeah.
And the memes that's going around right now, if anybody from Ireland is listening to this right now, enemy buddies, I just want to say a round of applause to everybody in Ireland. The memes that is going around right now, the humor that the Irish have about this is fucking unbelievable. The meme, I must give you some.
Send me some, please. Hey, you should actually check out. I'm going to give you a challenge, but there's a South African musician. His name's the Kifness, and he's actually busy. He's in a big lawsuit right now. He was actually on like the main news station because he's challenging. So the radio station, the company that owns the big radio stations at home, they've just been using all these South African musicians' music for years without paying them royalties. So he's got this big royalty war that he kind of undertook by himself as like a young upcoming musician. But anyway, he kind of does memes, and he's really funny, but he's been taking like classic songs and remaking them around like the quarantine. So like Quarantine Queen, like he did Quarantine Queen for like Dancing Queen, and go check him out. He's called The Kifness. But I want you to come up with a song around the quarantine.
All right.
Often like an old classic, yeah. So he's done
easy.
Like Queen,
well, not easy, but yeah, easy. I'll do it.
He even
100%.
did that one. You remember that song? Who was it by? I'm blue. If I was green, I would die. He did that one. Yeah, that old like dance song. He redid that one recently.
I'm blue and I was green, I would die.
Exactly. He said I'm in need of a guai, which is like a cigarette, because they cancelled. So it's all been very like South African humor centric. So
what's the deal? There's a radio station in South Africa that weren't paying for any royalties.
Yeah, so 5FM and the company that owns them is kind of the bigger broadcast network, and they've been using all these guys' music, and they were like dodging royalties, and they were using it across all their platforms and only paying as one. And he figured this out, and he was like, these royalty checks aren't right, because so South Africa has this rule where I think, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong here, but I think it's like 60% of the music played on the radio has to be local musicians, right? Because that's their way to promote it and grow.
Which is a great law. I think that's epic. The way everywhere should be.
Yeah, Kristen goes there. She comes to South Africa and she loves the radio because it's like crazy, different music that she's never heard, and she's discovering stuff. And then 40% of it is, international hits, right? So these guys were using music across all the different radio stations, all the entities that they own, and paying as if it was just one. So he started this lawsuit and didn't want to honor it, and then all the other big musicians got behind it, and now it's kind of got some traction. And he was on like, I don't know what they call it here, like investigative report, right? Like the whatever one of these big ones they do. So it's every Sunday in South Africa called Carte Blanche. And I noticed he was on this Sunday, and so he's getting some traction. He's like, the artists need to get paid. Pay these guys, especially during this time when they can't tour. Like if you cut them
it's sickening as a musician. We don't get paid anything unless we're playing music in front of people. The amount of music that people have for free nowadays is great. I'm so happy for people. I think it's great. But these companies like Spotify and iTunes and Amazon Music, like Spotify give people, like it's something, I'm not even making this up, for one play you get something like 0.00029 of a cent per play. Yeah. Like a girl called Mozella, who was a third on the writer's share of the song Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus. It got played 1 billion times. 1 billion times. And she got paid $3,000.
Unbelievable, right?
Bro, imagine if your coffee shop on Brooks Avenue sold 1 billion coffees, how much money you would have.
Yeah, no, totally. It's insane.
And that's one of the most famous songs the world has seen at that time. It's a weird time for musicians. I hate all those companies. It sadly backfired on me. For years, I told people not to use Spotify. I was like, don't listen to Spotify. Don't listen to me on Spotify.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, fuck. I have no views on Spotify.
Well, it's like the mom and pop shop, right? And this is unfortunate, but it is. You could compare it to the mom and pop shop that's just been eaten up by Amazon, right? It's that same thing. They had a good little business, they had the thing, and now Amazon has just killed their business, or whatever. The internet, right, has just killed their business. So it's unfortunately the necessary evil for you guys, and it's inevitable, and it's like become such a monopoly that you can't even get around it, right? It's nothing else to do other than just tour and make your money that way.
100%. I don't think people will ever, and that's not their fault, but like what goes into an album, like I own this studio that we're in, and it's not just like a home studio, it's a full big studio. And I had a few guys here, Brett and Austin Jenkins over here in October last year. I recorded another record. It's in the can and it's finished. But even with, like, I own the studio, and it still cost me tens of thousands just to get, and I still have to dump in another $4 or $5 grand, maybe more, to get it finished. And then people see a CD and they're like $16.
Dude, totally. So,
and it took me 3 years to write it. It took me a year to get the producers geared up over here to do it. It took me 10 years to build the fucking studio that it's in. People's like, $16 for this little CD. I'm like,
It's American.
I'm like, give me back the CD. Give me the CD out of your hand. You're not getting it. I don't want your $16.
Yeah, I'd rather break it than give it to
I'd
you.
rather break it and shove it up me bum. I don't want your money.
Yeah, it's insane. We talk a lot about that, right? Like, we've been talking a lot about surf media, right? And these guys like Sam, you know, from Stab, he produces this amazing content that he'll spend 30, 40 grand on this trip. And, there is some advertising dollars that he gets, but he's still paying staff. He's just trying to keep his business afloat. And he'll charge $10 for a new 1 hour film that's bitching, and people be like, what the fuck? This is unbelievable. But you'll go spend $12 on 2 coffees in Venice, right? Like, no problem. Not even think $10 for a muffin and a coffee. When you think about it, it's gone tomorrow.
Some people spend $16 on 1 coffee in Venice.
Yeah, exactly. Turmeric latte from Great White.
I hope they choke on it.
No, but that's the mentality that's been bred, though, right? So, like, how do you? I guess if you can do this with your users and anyone, you'll be successful. But manage to show people the value and be able to change their perception or their frame of mind on what to invest in. Hey. And hopefully this coronavirus does that, right? Like, I'm thinking I'm going to spend more money on higher quality things that are locally made that might benefit a local business over, and unfortunately, Amazon's a necessary evil. I've got boxes arriving here daily, but it's...
Yeah, I mean, right now, there's no choice.
Yeah, that's it. If you can go and, like, buy it from a local restaurant or thing when it's going to cost a few bucks more, why not?
Yeah, for sure, but because it all comes back to you. When you spend money in your own community, it's going to come back into your own pocket. It's not that difficult.
Chad doesn't need any more surfboards, and he ordered a surfboard from Topanga Terry, which is like possibly the worst shaper in the entire world. Just to send him somewhere. He's basically going to get a glass blank with some fins on, with some fins that have been screwed in through the top with nails.
The fins are Velcroed on.
Yeah, I just beveled them in.
It's Velcro fins, so you can put them wherever you want on the board.
Yeah, he said. The whole bottom is just Velcro layer, so you can.
It's just the whole deck of the board's a massive sheet of Velcro, and then you can just put the fins wherever you want on the bottom of the board.
Hey, they could be onto something.
Hey, speaking of which, I need to get a new board. My boards that I have here in Ireland are absolutely haggard. They're beat, they're done, they're toast. I need a couple of new boards. If you know anybody that's willing to hook a brawler up, and I'll pay them ransomly.
Any shapers in Ireland?
Yeah, there's some good shapers here. There's a lot of bad shapers here. I'm not afraid to say it. There's some guys who the boards, it's like anywhere. They throw a Mexican blanket on them, they look cool, and then people buy them here, That's, I mean,
like anything.
But you know what I mean? The boards, like, they do like really cool glass jobs and super cool tints and dyes on their boards, but then when you surf them, they're just vanilla.
Lipstick on a pig.
Lipstick on a pig. Hey. There's a couple of good shapers. There's a couple of shapers that I've shaped their boards and they look amazing, and you shape them and they're just like, ugh, whatever. That's the one thing about California. You are spoiled for shapers. I mean, the shapers
are so cheap here too. Like
second-hand boards.
6'4". Yeah. Oh yeah, Chad. What size do you ride? Chad's got a brand new 6'4" shop eye that's ready for action.
Beautiful board, but it's just a little too small.
Little thin for him. Probably good for you.
Is it a Velcro fun system?
Yeah,
what way is it?
Velcro 2.0 does. 2.0
Send it over. Send it over.
He said. Just Venmo him. You know what? He'll actually do a trade for the American blanket. American flag blanket.
Hey, fucking done. I actually have, Mike. I have a really nice Christensen that I've been surfing. I have a Christensen. I've had it here for like 12 years, 10 years. I've had it before anybody had them here, and I bought it second hand off an American dude who brought it over here. And it's amazing how long that board actually lasted. Like, it lasted a long. I've been surfing. It's a heavy glass job on it. It's a glass done fin. It's a 6'4", like pintail gunny kind of thing, which you need here, But I had that board for so many years, and I mistakenly said to my buddy the last time that I surfed it, I was like, this board's amazing. I've had it for like 10 years. It never really dings. It doesn't break. Of course, you bring it out, surf it, and it hit me shin on a huge, stupid drop that I shouldn't have taken. And the board hit me shin, and I thought it broke me shin in 10 places. And there's a hole the size of my fist now in the side of the board. The board's fucked. Stop.
You need Rick Massey there. Probably not many ding fixes in Ireland.
Nah, believe it, I used to actually do that. There's a buddy of mine, Rosie, used to make boards here. Rosie surfboards. Rosie makes decent boards. I used to fix boards for people coming on. I need to get some stuff right now and fix a couple of boards.
Do you have Channel Islands and all that there? All the surf shops?
Yeah, we have all the same brands here, but we pay an arm and a leg for them.
Yeah,
like,
the import duties and the shipping and all that.
Yeah. Like, I bought one of those Almeric biscuit bonzers, the Campbell Brothers Almeric biscuit bonzer. It's like a 6'2". No, it's not actually. It's a 5'10". The guy told me to get a 5'10" in the shop. He convinced me on it, and I was like, dude, this is way too small for me. And he's like, nah, bro. Telling you, shaka, bro. It's a Mexican blanket, and I fucking bought it stupidly.
He's like, how do you like it now?
I was like, fuck, take my money. Fired my wallet at him, just threw it at him. But I bought the board off him, man, and it's way too small. And I bought it in LA for LA, and it's useless. You need a big wave for it, But I brought it over here, but that's the only board right now I really have. And a bigger one. But that same board, I actually seen that same board in Portugal, was like €1,200. And the board, I bought it up in Ventura. It was like $800, $750.
Yeah, and then in Japan, it's probably like $1,500. It's insane.
Are they the same over there?
We got to get over here, get a board bag, pack a board bag, and take boards from here home.
But you see, a lot of people's limiting now. If you fly British Airways now, they're only letting you bring boards that are. If you bring anything bigger than 6'2", they don't let you.
Yeah, it's a fuck up, right? And I saw that.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. No, I mean, they that's their thing. It's like they caveat all these airlines, like, yeah, we'll do boards for free, but you're like, oh fuck, I can't even 6'2" board bag. A board bag to fit a 6'2" is 6'6", and then it's shut down. I saw I had to take boards back from South Africa this year because British wouldn't take guys' bags back, so I had to bring some boards for them. And
then one time I was flying to Hawaii, I was there for the Waimea Bay. The Eddie ran. When was that? That was like 10 years ago or something, or 9 years ago.
8 years ago, yeah.
I just happened to be there. We just happened to have a hostel booked on the North Shore. We were there for like 3 weeks. Me and a buddy from Ireland and a buddy from Philadelphia, Alan Mulrooney, and Drew Daniels, who now lives out there. Shout out. But we just happened to be there. And What were we talking about there now? How did I end up on fucking North?
So,
Oh yeah, bringing the
taking
boards
boards
to
on
Hawaii.
planes. We do
And it
that a
was-
lot on our podcast too. We forget what we were talking about and then just stop talking.
But I was one of those Hawaiian Airlines or something like that, and they opened my board bag and charged me per board.
Those motherfuckers are the worst. Hawaiian Airlines, those are savages. And you get up to the front, and there's this little old Hawaiian lady, and you're just like, aloha, and she's like, aloha, and then she's like, I'm about to fuck your life right up. How many boards you got in there? You're like, 3. She's like, I know there's 5. And she's like,
Colonizer.
yeah.
She's like, aloha. She's sliding on her gum shield as she says it to you. She's like, I'm gonna fucking kill.
You know that they must, I mean, fuck, these people that work at these airlines must get incentives for charging people through the yin yang for baggage, right? There's got to be some kind of one.
British
Well,
Airways have started to get really strict. British Airways don't let you take a guitar on the plane now at all, even in a soft case. Any sort of instrument at all. Even if you bring a fucking ukulele, they won't let you bring it on the plane.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Well,
And
I
it's just-
always have to travel with 2 bags or 2 guitars, no matter where I go. So if I'm flying, I instantly have 2 guitars. So I'm paying for 3. Normally, my luggage is roughly around $600 every time I jump on a plane.
Yeah, see, for you, like touring around the US is better just to drive, like you said, a van, pay itself off in no time.
Flying around America is van is the only way to travel in America, without a doubt. Especially if you've got shit to bring with you.
Yeah, and hopefully, I was under the impression at first that the airline tickets and everything would get really cheap with what's going on. But I'm looking, it's not getting cheaper because what they're doing is they're just canceling a shit ton of flights and just having 1 a day versus 5 a day now, right? So they're just condensing it and the prices.
Ryanair last week, apparently they're sacking 3,000 people.
Yeah, radical. You know, that's so. One of the podcasts that I listen to, it's a business one. This guy Scott Galloway, and I end up referencing and stealing his stuff most of the time. But he talks about the airlines, and specifically is they got these big bailouts in times like this, right? Like the government comes to their South African Airways happening right now, Delta, American Airlines. They come to their rescue, give them like a few $1 billion to keep the business going and that kind of thing. They get back up and running. Business is great. They're taking all their profits, buying stock, and just like getting promotions, and everyone, the CEO is getting more money versus actually having it for a rainy day like this. Like I spoke to a buddy that works at Patagonia the other day, and he said that I guess the company sent out an email or they had a town hall meeting, and basically they were like, hey guys, this is what our profits are for. Times like these, nobody's losing their job. We've got enough money to run for like a couple of years without having to take a salary cut. So don't stress, like we're good to go. This is entirely what profits are for in the bank. And
same as Virgin Airlines is doing the same thing here as well. I mean, they're crying out to the. I mean, they all are. All the bigger companies are, and you think like how British Airways and Virgin Airlines and America or whoever, like you're thinking, how the fuck do you guys not have money to float yourselves for 6 months? Like how,
totally, you guys do billions and billions of dollars a year in sales. There's got to be some kind of profit there, or some kind of money to keep people employed, or.
Dude, you should listen to the podcast that I done about, I'll send it to you, my good friend Glenn Stearns. Glenn have you seen Undercover Billionaire that was on the Discovery Channel?
No, I need to watch that. Good.
Yeah, Glenn, Glenn's a rock star. He's an amazing dude. I've known him for years, but he just done a program with Discovery where he went to, it was his idea too, and he was super sick at the time. He literally just got taken out of Anderson and for throat cancer about 2 days before he went actually started filming it, and he didn't mention it at all when he was doing the show. But he basically got dropped off in Erie, Pennsylvania, with $100 in his pocket and a piece of shit truck. And they said, and his idea was that he could create $1 million business within 3 months, and he done it.
No shit.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah.
And I know Glenn, there was nothing like, it wasn't like Bear Grylls where he pretends to be out in the woods and then they bring him to a hotel. Like he actually slept in his truck for 2 nights, and he actually like went and done all like. And you know what's funny, man? The first 2 episodes, what he done, Glenn called me about 3 months before the show, and he's like, "All right, you're a dirtbag." I'm like, "No, this guy's a billionaire. He's not a millionaire." He's like, "How do you make like quick small money?" I'm like, "You're asking me. You're asking me." I'm like, "Bro, you just fucking throw Mexican blankets on everything you see and charge it." No, but I was like, dude. No, but I was like, everybody in LA, all my buddies in LA call me the Craigslist cowboy. I'm like, I find, you know me, bro. I like finding shit and then throwing Mexican blankets on it and fucking charging everybody way more than what I paid for it. That's just the way the world works. Don't shoot me. But so Glenn called me up and I was like, well, if you're going to Erie, Pennsylvania, there's Craigslist. There's a free section. There's a wanted section. Why don't you go onto the wanted section, see what people want, and then go onto the free section, see if you can find it, and then sell it to that person? So that's what he done. That's how he got his first few $100. He done the whole Craigslist thing. And then he went and bought merchandise at a dollar store for St. Patrick's Day and went and sold the dollar store merchandise in a bar for like 20 times more than what he paid for it at the dollar store. Then he took that money and started working on a toilet. Then he took that money and started bought a shit car, sold the car, bought a more expensive car, sold the car, done that like 4 times. Then he bought a house. Then he sells the house. And then he started a barbecue joint called Underdog Barbecue. And then that's when the plot thickens and thickens and thickens. And all this time this is happening, nobody knows who he is. Everybody thinks he's some guy called Glenn, and the TV cameras are for a charity concept that he's working on. It's very cool. You should definitely watch it.
I'm going to watch it tonight. That's insane.
But yeah, Glenn's a dude. Glenn invited me one time. I've been out twice, actually, speaking of Virgin Airlines, to Richard Branson's Island out in Necker.
Remember you told me, yeah.
Dude, it was awesome. I went there. The first time I was there, I went for 3 days, and Glenn had all these like super cool people that were there. Charlie Plum, who was the longest man in captivity in the Vietnamese War, and myself. And they just had me there to like be me and have a laugh with people and sing music, a little bit lighthearted gesture of the crew. And then on the 3rd day, we were all having this big white party where everybody had to wear white clothing, and
very
that was it really. Yeah, that's just that's the thing you do when you're on Necker Island. You wear white. And Richard Branson came up to Glenn and he said to Glenn, he's like, hey, do you think that Keith would want to stay? It's my birthday in 3 days' time, and my daughter's coming with 15 of her friends. And Glenn was like, I'm pretty sure Keith will stay. And Glenn came over and Richard came over. He's like, Keith, look, would you mind staying and playing at my birthday? I'll sort out your flights and your accommodation. And I was like, fuck yeah. I was like 24. I was like, of course I'll stay. Dude, I ended up staying over 2 weeks on the island. It just became ridiculous. Every other day they were just like, stay, just stay. And then there was all these guests that came, and then there was no room left on the island, so I got to stay out in his yacht, the Necker Bell. I was staying on the Necker Bell. I had my own crew on the Necker Bell. I remember walking on there the first night, and they were all like standing there going, Mr. Harkin, it's great to have you on our ship, and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, look, we're going to fucking party when we're on this boat, folks. Let's have a good time. And I ended up sitting drinking with the crew every night after leaving the island and partying. And I mean, it was a fucking trip of a lifetime. I was there for over 2 weeks. And it got to the point where the record company, I was with Verve and Universal at the time, and they were like, where are you? I was like, I'm on Richard Branson's Island. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I can't come. I just have to stay here until they kick me off. Like, this is good for me, Dude, it was the best time.
But serious question, was Jeffrey Epstein there? And was he alive?
Yeah, he was the captain of the boat.
Little known fact, he was smothered in a Mexican blanket.
Yeah. He was the captain of the boat that I was staying on.
Of course he was, with the underage girls, the 15. Richard
Oh,
Branson's
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh shit, that's awesome.
But so anything else you want to promote before we fucking call it?
Oh,
you've got your Red Bull things coming out. What's it called?
One's called Inflection Point. That's with the Groms, and the other one is called what's the big wave one called?
No Small Feet.
No Small Feet. That's the other one. So those ones are good. Our Surf Center. That's our podcast. You can check it out on podcast app or anywhere you get your podcasts. We basically just talk shit about surfing and the surf industry, and we're about to record the one today, the right wing versus the left wing liberals, and have a few people on. And that's pretty much it from us. I think if you want to hire us or just give us money, my Venmo account is this. It's tough times. We consider if you want to donate to a poor African boy living in California.
And the agency's Free Radicals.
And our agency, that's it. Our agency is called Free Radicals.
And the award for the most shameless fucking plug for free money right now goes to Dooma on my podcast.
Exactly. Well, let's see how loyal your fans are. Truly are. If they will send you money.
Well, dude, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks
if
for
you
having
ever
me.
want me to come on and talk shop on your podcast. I'd love to do it sometime.
I would love that. But one thing I do want you to do is I'm going to send you some suggestions for some songs to write some kind of, you're talking about all the Irish kind of jokes going around this coronavirus, have a bit of fun with it. I want you to do a parody on an iconic song around the coronavirus. So that's your challenge.
No worries. Send it to me.
I'm going to find a song. We'll find a good one. But I'll send you over the Kipness. Check them out. And that's your challenge. And then we can play that song. We'll play that song in our podcast as the intro. The next
Dude,
episode.
have you got music for the start of your podcast?
I'll send it to you, but we took the theme of, remember that terrible surf movie In God's Hands, Apocalypse Now, all these different like classic Point Break, North Shore. We took all those and we squashed them in, and then this kid, we paid this kid. He made some music in like $100 or something, and he kind of put his kind of track underneath it. So it's cool. So we're supporting the music industry, but we need a good one. So if you've got any ideas.
Of course I do. I've got loads of ideas. It's just they're not worth a shit, half of them.
Yeah, you and I know.
Ideas and assholes.
As Chad said, ideas and assholes. We've all got it.
Having ideas isn't the problem. It's fucking doing things with these ideas. I feel sorry for my poor wife right now, Kelsey. Every other minute I'm like, what if we see if you could do, maybe I can. And she's just like, oh, shut the fuck up. Apologies to my wife.
Well, that's us.
Sorry.
That's why a couple bums own a couple homes and live a pretty good life, right? Because we're crafty. We figure out how to get, how to take turn a dime into a dollar.
Man, that's the way the world works. I mean, you should chat. That's why I love my good friend Glenn, who I talked about earlier on. Like Glenn is a self-made billionaire, and he's a fucking solid dude on top of it. And I've met a lot of those guys, and I hate to say it, a lot of them I haven't liked. I don't particularly like a lot of the people in that circle. You know, when Glenn is salt of the earth, he's one of us, and he would much rather sit at the bar and drink a Budweiser than sit anywhere else in the world. He's all about this. He's all about talking and having a crack and stories. His main thing in life is making stories happen. You know, he just loves stories. That's his thing, you know.
Well, that's my viewing for tonight, Undercover Billionaire.
Undercover Billionaire, man. Tell him I sent you. Glenn just started a new podcast as well. It's called Grit Happens.
What's it
Grit
called?
Happens.
Grit. Or Grit.
Grit, Grit. Like shit happens, only grit happens.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to check it out now.
All right, brawler. I love you loads. It was good chatting to you. I'll see you soon.
Send love to the wife and the 1-year-old. It's insane, man.
Peace.
Cheers.
Later.